Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday, March 19th. This will be our chart listing for the day. And as usual, we'll start off looking at our daily chart here. You can see a big up day, closed almost on the high. What we did was had a big move up and then mostly sideways after that. But needless, needless to say, it's still a bullish day. It closes on its high and some good upward movement. So, I mean, it was typical of what we've been seeing. Then after the close, they shot it up a little more and closed a little higher. So, interesting day, really. But let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. We'll take a look at it and we'll go from there. And as you can see, we started out in this range, but really we started trending higher at 7:30 this morning. We went sideways a little bit and then shot up sideways, shot up sideways, shot up sideways. And then from really around 11:30 or so until after 2:30, it's just a range there, sideways range. And then we ended up again after the 2:30 hour. You can see they ran it up there again. They tend to do that a lot. So, but anyway, we'll zoom in here. We'll go through the trades and see what we got today. 7 o'clock came as we're trending down through here. You're just getting first entries and you're late in the trend, so nothing really, no chance to buy down here. You can see that we pull back here, but you don't really get you just get a first entry. You don't get a reversal or anything, so nothing you can really enter there. Looks like we get a little bit of overshoot and then shoot down, and then there's a two-legged correction there, which will usually sometimes lead to a measured move. So if we start moving down, look for a measured move, and you can see we got that to the tick almost. And that kind of set up this trend, this little flat trend here. So I went at, you can go ahead and try to draw your channel here. There's no real consistency up here for the most part. Down the lows, we did get some consistency, so it made it a little easier to buy. But this was tempting to short, but technically it's a first entry. There is a hidden second entry there, but we got this, what looks like a little bit of an overshoot here, and you would expect it. This was a spike in channel. You would expect a new high here, so it's really hard to know what prices are going to do here. They could pull back and then turn back up, or they could turn back down. But because there's a two legs in there, there's a chance we might get that measured leg. So once we started going down, if you got a lower high or something here, maybe you trade it, but that's too congested. And then we run down and just a first entry with not much room. But you make a perfect measured move, and then you make a double bottom, which is the same thing as a high or low, and you get a decent signal bar with plenty of room back to the EMA and a chance to go higher. So I like entering there. I did make this one green, but it's close to being blue. If you hadn't had that 2-bar matching high right there, I'd probably, if this would have made a new high, maybe a tick higher, or maybe even at least a tick higher and closed right on its top, I'd probably made that one blue. But a few minutes later, you get a clear first entry, second entry right here. Technically, the second entry triggered here, but this still looks like one move up. So this is really two legs back to the key entry point. It does confirm that trend line. It's a third high or low. I like going long there. And then it runs up, comes back to the trend line here. No setup though. Same thing here. We're just moving back and forth. And then finally we move a couple of legs up and we actually break higher here. You really don't want to short this yet because of this trend channel. And you do get a second entry that would have worked, but this signal bar is an inside bar. It doesn't make an equal low, so you really kind of have to skip over that. Plus, you're still in this channel. So, but you do get your close outside to move to a new low. And I like this one just simply because we're the range, and you would expect we're probably going to try to make a new low here. And you could, this breaks higher first and turns down. So if this goes out the other side, that's a big bullish bar. I like trading that on the engulfing bar, but most of you should probably wait for it to close And if you wait for it to close, then it makes this 2-bar matching high. And look how many times we kind of get stuck at the midline. So by that time, I'd say just skip it. That's why I made it green. It ends up dropping on down, and you get a triple test down here. You can see 1, 2, 3. And I think these are matching lows. I can't remember if the green one went lower. Low on that's 95.75. And that one. So it's 2-bar matching lows. So I like going long above that one. Again, you had another 2-bar matching high, but with triple test and that nice signal bar and already having a break and new low, I'm going long right there. Then it pulls back. You get a first entry here. No chance to really enter this all the way up. Then you're just kind of chopping back and forth. But notice you make a 1, 2, and this actually goes higher, comes back and breaks lower and turns back up. I wouldn't enter this on the engulfing bar. I like going long here. It's a fairly small engulfing bar, so it's a real low risk. Maybe you enter that one on a triple test. It's a possibility, but I prefer to wait till this closes and then go long. I've gotten a lot of emails lately from people trying to trade engulfing bars and getting burned. And so until you're really skilled at reading the chart and you're real confident in those bars and your understanding of them, I'd just skip them. You need a lot of experience to trade those. But anyway, we try going higher, 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 and you get a triple test, and this bar is like 5 ticks. You got to go short there. And notice where it bounces right at the key entry point. First 2 touches, so this does confirm it. And this makes a lower high and turns up. Again, I don't like going long on the engulfing bar because it could be congested. It looks a little congested right there. And then if you wait till it closes, you got to go long right into that resistance there. And that's a little dangerous too. Odds are it's probably going to push on up, but it could push up. And notice it does push up, pull back and test it, and then go higher. But you just can't go higher, long right there. And it does run back up to the overnight highs, the high of our range. And you get a second entry right there. I didn't mark this one. Technically, if you go by the counts, this is close enough to really call that a double bottom. So if you call that a double bottom, that's a second entry short. And you do get a close and a new high. That one should at least be green. I actually like that trade, to be honest. The problem is we are still in this uptrend, but being that far away from the EMA right here, and that being, we've tested that range multiple times, there's a good chance you're going to at least come back to the EMA. And so I'll leave that one green for that reason. And then you're chopping along here, and this is technically not a triple test. It's a second entry, though. It makes a new high right here, and then you get a first entry, and then it turns lower and turns back up. Again, you got to wait for this to close, and it does close outside the range. And when it broke above here, it was technically a second entry, but I like going long here. You may not could have got in this one because it shot up real quick, and notice there's no overlap. It just closes on its high, opens on its low, and just keeps going. So sometimes those are hard to catch. So I'm not sure you could catch that one. If you could, by all means you want to be in it. Just buy stop 1 tick above that. And this turns out to be a really strong move. Now you get a spike and channel up. I don't see anything that I would want to enter on the way up here. This technically is 2 legs back to the EMA, but it was hard to know if we were at the high of the range yet or not, because originally I had it right off here. It ends up being a little higher, I think. But it's another one. It's only 6 ticks. It doesn't quite get back to the midline either. And we've been away from, we've been away from the EMA for a while, so it was time to come back. But you would think as close as that midline is, it might try to touch that at least. We don't really have a whole lot of evidence that it's been bouncing there. So with this still being in this channel, I didn't mark it. I think it's a little aggressive. It does go higher. turns down, and then you get a first entry and a second entry, but this is just two sideways. You're still looking for a new low, so you do get a second entry short there, but it's too close to these lows. There's just not room to get out there. Basically, that's just sideways stuff, and so I didn't mark it. I think you got to skip it. If you color it in, you'll see it a little clearer there. And notice how we're bouncing off that line. It pushed through it a couple of times. It does push through it, and then it turns up again. And then you get a higher low here. So technically, you could call that a triple test, but I just wasn't 100% sure about that signal bar. And there's not much room back to where we've been turning down, so I didn't mark that one. You can't enter this one because it's an inside bar, and then this one just is not quite bullish enough. Runs up. We're still in this channel, so I don't like going short right there. But now you get what looks to be a triple test, but we made a new high. I meant to mark this one green, because you got a break of the channel, two legs up to a new high, which usually leads to a reversal. But the bigger picture is a trend channel, is this bigger trend, so that's the concern. But we're probably headed back to this trend line, and we haven't got there yet. So with the triple test, there's a good chance we're going to get there. The only problem is we're still making higher highs each time, higher high, higher high, higher high. And so this one, it does close inside what looks to be maybe the highs here. It's not real consistent. So I like going short there. It is a second entry short too, because this swing is lower than that one. So first entry, second entry. I marked it green, but I can't give that one a red. And then we're working lower again. You do get a close outside, two legs to a new low, and then we bounce right here with a triple test. Nice signal bar. I like going long right there. There's a second entry here, but it's an inside bar. I didn't mark it. Too congested. Moving down, but then you get a first entry. Turns up, a break below that's a second entry. That signal bar just doesn't quite get it. It closes below the EMA, but there's a few ticks on this side. It looks closer to a doji, but I marked it green because the odds are we're at least coming to the other side of the channel here. And you can see we clearly get two legs down, and we actually break lower, and that's the first break out of that support area right there. And so there's a good chance that we're going to at least come back to the EMA, because we're getting away from it, or at least come back to test the breakout too. So there's a good chance we're coming back. This is real aggressive. I marked it, and it was a quick, easy move. Then you get a break, and you get a first entry and a second entry. Normally I wouldn't mark this, but this is just like a minute into after 2:30, and it's such a great setup. You can see we tested this line multiple times, couldn't close below it, and then you get a first entry, and then it turns down again and turns back up. So a break above that would be a second entry long, and it's like a 231. So I marked it. It's a real small bar too, so it's low risk, 6 ticks. And that was it. That took us into 2:30, and I wouldn't take anything after that. You won't see me mark many after 2:30, but if it's just like the first minute or so and it's a really good setup, you could take it. Well, there it is. That's how I saw it today. Really sideways, a trend up, sideways, and then started another trend up into the close. Just typical what we've been seeing lately. You get a move, it gets choppy. You get a move, it gets choppy. You get a move, it gets choppy. Get a move, it gets choppy. I mean, that's typical of what we're seeing lately. A lot of choppiness, a lot of mixed trading, and you got to trade this like a range for the most part. So you got to be careful trading it in the middle. So that's where you can get burnt. quickly. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. That's going to do it for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I think tomorrow is FOMC day, if I'm not mistaken. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. It'll show the news. News will be on your chart in the morning if you have the news guard. But just be aware that I think it's FOMC day tomorrow. Another announcement. So we'll see what they're going to do with the rates if I'm not, unless I'm wrong. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up. So we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. If it is an FOMC day, be flat by noon. And otherwise, I'll see you at the chart lesson tomorrow. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.